Alright guys, so now let's introduce chapter 19, which is talking about macroeconomics around the world. So we learned everything about monetary policy, fiscal policy, we learned how the government gets involved, we learned how the central bank gets involved, we learned about unemployment and inflation, right? We learned about that in the US. Now let's take a look at just how macroeconomics works around the world. So there is diversity of countries and economies around the world. One key indicator of the standard of living is going to be your gross national income. Remember how we talked about GDP is not a good measurement of standard of living because it's the total value of all the final goods and services, right? Everything's produced. It doesn't measure anything else besides that. Now, gross national income is looking at the total income that you are earning. And the idea is that whatever you're earning is what you're spending your money on. And so, gross national income is going to be a little bit closer to an idea in the sense of like just how much money you're earning is going to tell you how much stuff you can buy. The more stuff you can buy, then this shows you a better standard of living. So low income nations are going to have a per capita income of less than 1,085. Middle income nations are going to be anywhere between that and 13,000. And then they have shown some ability to catch up to the technology leaders in the high income nations. So those middle income, even though they are lower, they do show some promise. And then the higher income nations are going to be anything above $13,000. So typically these countries do have high levels of human and physical capital. So we do have higher education in these countries. We do have more capital deepening in these countries as well. So the high income nations, we're going to have more of those characteristics that lead to a higher income. So when we're measuring standard of living, per capita GDP just cannot capture the full picture as a quality of life. So we do have to look at other factors. Other factors can reveal wide differences in the standard of living across the regions of the world. So we could use GDP and gross national income as an indicator, but again, even gross national income is just how much income you're earning in order to buy things. That does miss some other stuff as well, such as health, education, human rights, crime and personal safety, and environmental quality. All of these are missing from GDP and gross national income. And all of these do play a major factor in the standard of living. Okay, because if your air quality is not good, if your water quality is not good, then you're not going to have that good of a standard of living versus a country that can just open up their water and have clean drinking water. Okay? So if we looked at the world in terms of per capita GDP, just how much money each person brings in, the green are going to be your higher income nations such as the United States and Canada, Australia, most of the countries in Europe. And then the red are going to be more of your very low income nations. As you can see here in the Middle America here, in Latin America, we do have some countries there. Mostly those countries are going to be in Africa. And then we do have countries like India and China are somewhere in the lower income. China's more of a middle income there. So so a lot of countries in Africa are in the lower income for sure. Okay. So that's how GDP looks across the world. So influences on standard of living. Aside from the neoclassical determinants of growth, 4 other determinants are significant in capturing the reasons for the enormous economic differences between countries. So basically, we're looking at this map here, and we're looking at all these different things that are going on. America being a higher income nation, and then all of a sudden Africa is just dramatically low. Like all the countries there are low income nations. And this is basically because of different factors. Remember the neoclassical determinants of growth? That was just about how you have your natural rate of unemployment. You have all of your resources, your land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, right? Those factors of production. given those amount of resources, how much stuff can you make? So going further than that, we're going to look at your geographics. We're going to look at your demographics, your industry structure, and then your economic institutions. So basically what's happening here in terms of geographic is that some countries are able to produce things that others can't, right? So some countries can produce coffee. Other countries cannot do it. It's just because of the demographics there. They don't have nice sunny weather during the day and then cool windy nights, right? To where that's what the optimal coffee growing needs to be. And so certain countries just don't have that. So coffee's not grown in those regions, so they don't have that as an export. So right there, just off of geographics alone, eliminates what a country can do and cannot do. Okay? So some countries, maybe they have more oil reservoirs than other countries, so they're able to have more production. They could have a better standard of living. So just geographics really do play a big factor. Access to water is another one. If you have access to water, that's going to make it a lot easier to trade. Demographics, if you have a lot of older people, right, they're going to be nearing retirement. And if they're retiring, they're not working, so then therefore you're not going to be able to increase your production. Okay. Agriculture versus urbanization. Agriculture is going to be focused more about, just what are your farmers doing? Are they producing enough, right, and selling it? Urbanization is going to be more of like accounting firms and law firms and more of those white collar businesses. And then economics institutions. So basically, do you have universities? Do you have big businesses? Do you have financial institutions as well? All these do play a factor in influencing your standard of living. Okay? In the next section, we'll talk about improving those standards of living. I'll see you there. Bye.